Marathon's closed alpha testing starts in just a few days, and a few major adjustments have been made since the announcement of this. So today we're taking a look at and running down everything that you should know about Marathon's closed alpha testing. When it starts, how to get in, what it's going to be including, and everything in between. So drop your thoughts, drop a like and a comment for the algorithm, and if you'd like to see more Marathon content, let me know, but make sure to subscribe for more, along with other FPS content. I'd love to have you in the community. For now, let's get into it. So first and foremost, what is Marathon? As a brief recap, if you haven't seen anything about this yet, Marathon is Bungie's entry into the extraction genre, combining it with classic lore and the established Marathon universe, while acting as a reimagining, but also a sequel, they said it was, at the same time. So in this world, you're a runner going into Tau Ceti 4, the world here that you'll experience across multiple maps, and attempting to extract any and everything you deem important on your runs. The game's loop is squad-based PvPvE, where you and up to 2 friends can jump in. But if you want to up the difficulty a bit, you don't need to play with 3 players. You can play as a duo or even a solo, but it changes the core makeup of each run and how you may want to approach them. Each raid or run, you'll play as a runner with certain abilities at your disposal, depending on the runner you chose. These are at their best when coordinated with each of your squad and able to be enacted as a team. Each run will be fundamentally different, with loot, encounters, and danger being ever-present but ever-changing with each time you descend to Tau Ceti 4. Currently, the full experience is launching on September 23rd with a price tag of some kind, but they detailed already it's not a full $60 to $70 price tag associated with it. But that's a different story for a different day. Today, we're focused on the alpha, which costs nothing. So firstly, when does the alpha start? Well, the closed alpha will begin this Wednesday, April 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That translates to other times on screen for you. You'll see as a sort of time zone converter. But one of the big catches is the alpha regions. Unfortunately, it's kind of region-based, but not necessarily limited entirely in that nature. It's not unplayable for those outside of the NA region, but North America is that prime target here with this, where Bungie clarified there are no region locks on Steam and Xbox, but there's just limited server capacity outside of NA, so you may not have optimal matchmaking and network experiences. On PlayStation 5, however, the game is locked to North and South America. So how do you gain a code if you are interested? This is where it gets a bit kind of long-winded, but the process itself isn't all that long or too in-depth. But first, you have to go to their official Discord. A link can be found in the description below, and from there, you can go to the Alpha Access channel and then type the command /alpha. When you enter and send this message, if you typed it correctly, don't worry, it'll only send you a prompt where no one else sees your message or you typing, but it will grant you an automated reply with a personalized link for a sign-up survey. This will then require you to sign in or create a Bungie account, choose a platform you want to play on, and then lead you to a 20-question survey that asks you a bit about your gaming habits, your recent and preferred games, hardware details, and more, but should only take like 5 minutes or so to complete. When completed, you're registered for a chance to get a code. You should know this does not guarantee you a code for the alpha, but if you do get a code, it will grant you a redemption opportunity that will come through your email and 2 friend codes that you're not jumping into Marathon alone. But okay, you gain access, maybe you want to play around with it. When does the alpha last until? Well, again, it starts on the 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time, but it will go until May 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So a week and a half to play about. This will give you time to play, test, give feedback, and get a general feel for the game. One thing to consider right up front is that nothing will transfer from the alpha to perhaps a beta if there is one, and then to the full game. So if you're like me, who's usually like, I don't really want to lose my stuff, this is a bit risky of a run to jump in with everything. If you're a bit more cautious like that with your builds, don't worry about it. That stuff won't be there after a week and a half anyway, so have at it. Go in with all your gear, experience the highs, the lows. It all doesn't matter past the 4th anyway. As for platforms that you can play on, Marathon's alpha and subsequent launch will be on all major platforms of PlayStation, Xbox, and PC on current gen only, so you're going to be able to jump in on any platform you may have of those. The nice part also is sizing with the alpha and the platforms is this test is roughly only 6 gigabytes in size. So it's not like you're going to have to download a ton of data just to play this. Going a little further in terms of platform talk, the PC minimum specs were also detailed and given, where the operating system you have to have Windows 10 or later, CPU is an Intel Core i5-660 or AMD Ryzen 5 2600, your minimum GPU is an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti or AMD Radeon RX 5500 XT or the Intel Arc A580, and RAM you only need 8 gigabytes with a DirectX version of 12 or 12.1 support. And honestly, that's actually really nice to hear. This means, for those unaware, that this can run on mostly anything. Like, for example, that i5 CPU released in July of 2015, and that GPU released in October of 2016 and was just a mid-range card of the 10 series. So if you've got gear from any time in the last 9 years, you're probably going to be able to run this perfectly fine. In the future, everything also will be cross-play and cross-save, but for the alpha, access is only granted to one platform's account selected upon sign-up, so you won't have the ability to test out that cross-save functionality. However, you will be able to cross-play if you have friends that are not on the same platform as you. But all that said, that's a lot talking about before the alpha. What's included with this? Well, Bungie has detailed this is a true closed technical test of Marathon. What that means is you'll be playing an incomplete version of the game with our primary goal to test two things: technical capabilities and our moment-to-moment gameplay loop. We plan to break stuff. Alpha is a curated, limited slice of systems and content, and we welcome feedback across the board, but the areas we are most keen to hear your thoughts on are weapons and gunplay, maps and survival gameplay, runners including kits and build crafting, early game progression including factions, contracts, and faction upgrades, PvP engagements against other runners, and PvE engagements against AI combatants. But specifics of all of that, what they just mentioned, aren't given just yet. If I were to guess, it will be comparable to the gameplay reveal and what we showcased already on the channel, like myself and others had the chance to play before the reveal. This including things like a ton of different contracts for each of 3 factions, not the total 6, 4 of the 6 planned runners here available to play around with. Maps, I'm imagining Dire Marsh is going to be the one that we definitely have access to. That's where all the footage came from. Maybe Perimeter, that was another map that we played in Seattle, but we were not able to capture that or showcase that in any capacity. So that might be something that they withhold that for maybe a beta state, but alpha, I would imagine at least Dire Marsh, and then a handful of weapons also being included with that. But they also detailed what will not be in the alpha, specifically listing from their blog post things like final visual and graphics, including animations and lighting, full and polished UI, all of the runners, all of the zones, including the Marathon ship, so adding again to that potential that we might only have 1, maybe 2 maps at launch. Pinnacle and endgame content, all weapons, items, consumables, implants, cores, and mods, so tons of different loot that you'll be able to experience from alpha to if there's a beta and then to launch. All factions and upgrades. As we talked about, all those factions were not available for us to play as well. Long-term progression and systems, complete narrative and storytelling systems, and final shipping content, ranked play, and final balance. All of that will not be in the alpha. And this should make a ton of sense. It's an early build of the game used for technical testing. We're still 5 months away from launch, so you can't show off everything now, otherwise there won't be anything to check out later down the line. It's meant to give you a glimpse at and allow you to provide feedback for and gear up for the launch of Marathon in the near future. Now, one big thing when it comes to a true game of risk and reward, like an extraction shooter where if you die, you lose all your gear. Will there be an anti-cheat? One would hope we don't see any cheats in a closed alpha, but of course, crazier things have happened, but it's also relevant beyond just the alpha discussion. The bigger picture demands that question, which the answer is Marathon uses BattlEye anti-cheat, so it's the same as Destiny. There will be an anti-cheat here, which is definitely nice to hear about. Now, beyond that, can you stream, post, or talk about the content you'll see in the Marathon alpha if you'd like to? Well, initially the plans were that no, you wouldn't be able to. This was meant to be a behind the closed doors, strict NDA play session. However, for whatever reason, many citing the mixed response to the game's reception and in an attempt to be more transparent with the development, the game has since dropped all NDAs, and players are now able to play, discuss, create content, and stream freely to showcase the alpha in full through a completely transparent lens. Straight from Bungie, they've said, as developers, we believe community feedback and dialogue is essential to make the best version of Marathon. Up until now, this feedback has come from closed playtest sessions. In the spirit of building towards the future, we've decided to remove the NDA from our closed alpha test. Everyone can share their thoughts, feedback, and footage, including streaming, starting on April 23rd. Personally, I think this is a really good and healthy move for the development of the game and keeping outside feedback in mind. And frankly, I always like the idea of more eyes, more feedback. Like, yes, you're going to get people who are just going to ride the wave of hate with it, but if you're interested in actual dialogue, actual feedback, just because a player doesn't have access to play the alpha doesn't mean their input is any less valid than someone who is playing. Like, sure, someone may have hands-on experience that then leads to an adjustment in a preconceived notion of something, but if someone's watching streams all day, they may see a bug that someone else may not have, or they may have seen something that would add to the gameplay loop, like you're used to X, but what if Y could make this even better? I think that capacity for critical and comprehensive feedback is absolutely there, even for those who may not have access to the game, so being able to share the game in its raw, unedited format is a nice thing to have those conversations that stem for the larger audience then at that point. So definitely a nice move, I think. That said, if you don't get into the closed alpha, can you play it before launch? Is there going to be some sort of beta? Well, while not confirmed, it does appear that there's going to be a beta of some kind coming sometime down the line. In an interview, Lars Bakken, senior design lead, had said in relation to some accessibility features, it's a handful of things like changing your subtitles, changing your reticle and color preferences. We'll have some of that stuff in the alpha with plans to support more for the beta and the launch. So, sounds like sometime between the end of the alpha and September, a larger playtest will take place, perhaps still a closed beta requiring invites of some kind, perhaps being an open beta. We don't know, but it seems like if you don't get in on the alpha and you're still interested in checking out the game after everything, you might still have a chance here in the future. But that said, what's still to come? Of course, at launch, there's going to be much more content. We just talked about how much is not going to be in the alpha. That stuff will be there at launch. The thing that I really want to see, though, personally, is the UESC Marathon map. They really talked this thing up in our discussion with developers before the reveal of the game, and I kind of feel like it's weird that they haven't really leaned into talking more about this kind of stuff here, just to kind of build some hype, because it was pretty cool. Tons of puzzle mechanics mentioned, tons of challenging elements mixed with narrative storytelling. That is a really cool formula that nothing's really been said beyond any of that, especially publicly from Bungie. So kind of wish that stuff was mentioned, but a lot is still going to be coming for the beta and then launch of the game. And the final thing we'll mention here is just an additional note. This is an alpha with a goal to provide feedback. Constructive feedback is absolutely the most valuable. Things like "this game sucks" with no elaboration is counterproductive and waste everyone involved's time. You can say this game sucks, but say "this game sucks because," and then grant X, Y, and Z as to why you believe that and what you would change to do it. That way something can actually come of that rather than just a full dismissal of whatever it may be from both parties involved. That doesn't help developers, and as a player and consumer, that doesn't really help you make any changes you want to see anyway. So if you are going to play, if you see any of this stuff, add your feedback in a constructive manner on any of the socials that are supported for Marathon, Reddit, their Discord, Twitter, wherever the case. But that is everything that you should know about the alpha for Marathon upcoming and everything that should be coming along with it. So let me know your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to jumping into Marathon? Are you hoping to get a code for yourself? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts. If you've enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. Of course, make sure to subscribe for more Marathon and other FPS coverage. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.